Hey guys, how are you doing? Today's video is for people who just want to get started with LumaFusion, who recently downloaded the app or thinking about downloading the app and aren't too much into the material. People who already use LumaFusion a while and watched all my other tutorials don't need to watch this video, but if they are interested, of course, they can watch it. This video is for beginners. Let's jump into LumaFusion and we will start. This is how the app will look like if you first start LumaFusion, except you don't have any projects. So what you can do to change the interface is just click on the button in the top right corner and change it the way you like it. This is the default setting and the setting which I would recommend because it's the most natural one, but of course you can change it the way you like it. But I like this one. This button here, you can change your global settings and your project settings. So these are the settings when you're adding a new project, the project will have it first before you will change it to the individual settings of the project. But that's too complicated right now. Just leave it at default first. And this button is the export button. So if you want to export your final cut video, then click on this button, choose your settings and export the video. But at first we want to open our new project. For this, just click on the plus button in the bottom left corner. Give this project a name. Let's call it tutorial. Done. Choose your frame rate. Normally you would film in 24, 25, 30 or 60 frames. I will choose 25 for this case, and of course 16:9 landscape. You also can choose some other frame aspects, but at first leave it at 16:9 because that's the most used one. This is how an empty project will look like. Of course, the next step is to add your media. To add media, click on the button in the top left corner and you can choose between the videos and photos you have in your iOS library. If you added a Western Digital NAS or a wireless hard drive, you can import it as well. And then there are some titles, transitions, iTunes link for your music, and Storyblocks, which is like a library where you can buy stock footage from. But at first I would choose the media on the iPad. To add videos, the easiest way is to click on albums and then videos. As you can see, I have a lot of videos in my library. To add one, just click and drag it to your timeline. So this is how a video will be added to your timeline. Of course, you can multiple select videos by clicking this button and select more and then drag them to your timeline. As you might have seen right now, you can change the zoom of your timeline interface by pinch to zoom, or you just triple tap to zoom in the most. Okay, but at first I would recommend using pinch to zoom because it's very intuitive. To browse through your media, just use the buttons here. You also can add some screenshots, for example, or whatever you want to add. Just click through your albums. I would recommend using the video album because it's the easiest way to search your whole library, except you have a bigger project. Just add a specific album for this project. To scroll through your timeline, just use one finger and drag it. It's pretty simple. To cut a sequence like here, let's choose where the drone begins to fly, right here. Just select this specific clip and click on the scissors and you set a cut. If you want to delete the footage you don't need, just click on the bin. So if you want to cut more precise, so frame by frame, you can either zoom in a lot and then drag very slowly, or you can go a frame forward or backward by swiping over the preview window. So like this, okay? As you can see, I'm moving a frame forward or backward. The area right here shows you the frame and second you are right now. So if I swipe over this, I went forward a frame. As I have selected a 25 frames timeline, 1 second is 25 frames. So we are 24 frames, 25 is 1 second. And this is how the timeline works. So then again, 25 frames and 2 seconds. If you have a 60 frames timeline, you will have to go 60 frames forward until the 1 appears. If you don't want to cut a video but trim it, you can point at the end and just drag it. So right now it's like cutting, but I'm trimming it. It's also a good way if you want to go to a selected point like this, then you have a simpler version of a cut. To add transitions, click on this button again and select transitions. So we want to add a transition between those two videos. Let's use a cross zoom, and we have added a transition. Okay, it's not a very nice transition, just search through the library and select the transition you want to use. You can also delete the transition by clicking on the bin and add another one, like the zoom blur. Okay. To add a transition, to change the length of it, you can use the trim button as well. So just clicking on the end of or the beginning of the transition and drag through the timeline and the length will be changed. So right now it's a very long and slow transition. Wouldn't recommend to make it too long. I like at least 1.5 seconds. If you want to edit the audio of your clip, you either can triple tap the clip, so like this, and separate it, and then edit it separately by double tapping it. You can change the speed or the volume up and down, or adding some effects. This is it how you can edit audio. To edit clips, so add some effects, cutting some windows out of it. Just double tap them as well, and you have got like 4 options. The first is frame and fit. At frame and fit, you can change the size and the position of your video clip. Crop the video, change the angle, and so on. Or select a opacity. This is frame and fit. You also can add some effects to it, but let's begin with those 4 options. The next button is speed and reverse. To reverse your clip, just select the button, it will render the video, and you have a reverse video. To change the speed, just drag through here. 1 is a normal speed of 25 frames per second, but you also can go up to 6 times or just one of 240 to slow it down. To slow it down, just like play it half the speed, go to half times. Okay, but leave it at 1. The next button is again audio, where you can change volume and so on. And the 4th and last button is color and effects. Color and effects are the most important thing if you want to edit a video, because you can go and add some color options right here at the color tab. So if you want to warm it up, for example, or if you want to like give it a noir effect, or some other ones, just select the one you want to use, click on it, and you can edit it specifically. But that's very, it's a color science, which is a master part of color editing and color grading. The next button are LUTs. LUTs are pretty simple color grading tools which you can add to give your video a specific look. For example, I've added some custom LUTs right here, which you can download in my Selfie store if you want to. And you can select the blend by dragging it over here. So LUTs are a great way to color grade your video if you don't know too much about color grading. The next are some effects like grain, vignette, and so on and so on. Just click through it. There's also some crazy stuff like thermal and so, yeah. Then you have the blur tab to add some blur like Gaussian blur. Select the one you want. Then we have some crystallize and mirror effects. Then the sixth button is a very important one because it adds a green screen keyer or Luma keyer or light keyer, which you can use. For example, if you want to add a text marker, which I have created and which you can download also in my Selfie store if you want to, or create your own one. So you can use them and add a green screen keyer and key out green. And now you have this specific marker in your video. Okay, but that's also very high LumaFusion science. The next thing I want to show you is how you can add titles. You have a pretty big library of titles. What I would recommend doing if you want to create your own style, use the angle white title, drag it to your timeline above the clip you want to use it, select the length of the text or title you want to have. I would recommend about 6 seconds because that's not too long and not too short. Then delete the text and add text. Now you can choose the font you want to use. I will use Surf in capital. Go down here and change the color, for example black or white, green, whatever you want to use, in this case black. You can change the size by dragging this button right here. If you want to edit the text, just double tap and type in the text you want to have. Titles can also be edited in the frame and fit and FX tab, but of course not in the sound and speed tab. So you, for example, like change the position afterwards as well. If you have finished your editing process and want to export your final video, tap on this button right here, go to Movie, and select the storage you want to save it on. I would recommend Photos because this saves it in your iTunes library or in your iOS Photos library. Then select the resolution you want to use. For example, 4K or 1080p are like normal resolutions. The frame rate, the quality, and the video codec. But these are also pretty basic codecs, so you can't really go wrong by choosing H.264 or H.265. Then click on this button and the video will be rendered. And that's it. Then you will have a final edited video in your iTunes or iOS Photos library. Pretty simple, pretty fast. But yeah, of course, you can improve your skills by far more. Because LumaFusion is a very, very great tool which gives you a lot of options, especially for the price of just $20, which is insanely low. Because if you have like other video editing tools, they cost like 10 times more, or you have to pay monthly, which is, I don't like to pay monthly. I want to own a software if I want to buy it and don't want to pay monthly for it. So guys, I hope you've learned a lot about the basics of LumaFusion, how you can work with the app and create your first videos. If you want to improve your skills, just watch my other tutorials. There will be some helpful tutorials how you can make own transitions, create awesome effects, and so on and so on. Just watch the videos and you will be improving your skills a lot. If you liked this video, give thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and we'll see each other on the next tutorial. Bye!